or lease rules in the morning.
Welcome, B-movie fans, to this week's episode of Hypothetical Movie. This week, we will be discussing what would happen if Leatherface and his family of serial-killing psychos spent the night at a hotel run by another well-known mentally ill murderer, Norman Bates. I'm B-movie Paul.
I'm Corey.
Phantom Dark Dave.
And this is the Bates Motel Chainsaw Massacre. So, in this scenario, how do you guys think it would begin?
Well, clearly nobody's leaving the Bates Motel, so the Sawyer family has to visit the Bates Motel.
Oh yeah, I kind of felt like this would take place like right after the events of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, when what's her name? The girl gets away.
Sally.
Yeah, Sally gets away, and Leatherface is all pissed off, waving his chainsaw, and he gets back, and well, his brother magically survived getting run over by a truck.
Okay, so
he needs to be there.
We get more good shaving scenes.
Oh, of course.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe Leatherface knows how to drive because that truck driver ran off. Maybe Leatherface just hops on the truck, chases the other truck down.
Obviously,
Road
Granddad
trip.
knows how to drive, or Dad, or whoever it is from the fucking gas station.
If he can like drive as well as he can like kill people with a hammer, then why not? So yeah, they decide after scraping up the hitchhiker, they he's not all there, but he was never all there to begin with.
I mean,
so
we know Leatherface is good at stitching up, so he stitches them back together.
Yeah, it works out somehow.
The guy driving the truck with Sally in the back, instead of taking her to the hospital or the cops, he just drops her off at the nearest motel. There you go.
There you go. So there's a whole gathering at the Bates Motel. Yeah, they just happen to I guess they're looking for Sally, or maybe they just decide to go on vacation because, it's been a long weekend of murdering innocent people, so, got to get away. So they end up coincidentally at the Bates Motel. And, yes.
So I'm guessing out of the entire family, it's got to be the dad who checks out the room, right? Because none of the other people seem, like they're going to walk in the lobby and request a room.
Pretty much. I doubt the hitchhiker could manage to do that without coming off too odd. And
I don't think Leatherface can actually speak, can he?
Yeah, he'll just make weird sounds, and no one will know what he's talking about.
Rev his chainsaw a bit.
And they'll still have Grandpa there with wheeling him around.
They're trying to make him sign for the room. And
Come on, Grandpa, you can do it. You can do it.
just write your name.
You just keep putting the pen back into his hand.
Oh man! And of course, they're looking around the room. They say, "This looks like home." It's got all the animal, the taxidermy everywhere. That's one way of doing it.
It's how they feel like this is the right place to stay.
Oh yeah, and of course they get room number 1. That only makes sense.
Oh yeah. So Norman checks them in. He's a little suspicious because this is an unusual looking family. With their 6 foot tall mother or whatever Leatherface is pretending to be, and these 2 other guys and their grandfather. So
And he's jealous because he's like, "No, I'm the only man who dresses like a woman." Dagnamit.
getting into a drag queen fight. Oh,
But Norman, he likes to peek in the shower. I don't think Leatherface takes showers, so there's not going to be that scene.
All I can imagine when you say
It's the first clue.
I'm the only one who dresses like a woman around here is somewhere in the Bates Motel right now. Buffalo Bill is also in a room somewhere.
Oh yes, this is great.
It's this convention of cross-dressing serial killers
who like to strip skin off of people.
I could see that happening.
Yeah, imagine that mistake. He's peeking through to see Gurley in the shower, and it's Buffalo Bill. Oh my gosh.
Norman, what did I tell you about looking at cross-dressers in the shower? Sorry, Mom.
I'm sorry. Oh man.
So imagine after they scrape up the hitchhiker and like sew him back together. He and Norman would probably at some point have a conversation because he just seems to like chatting with strangers. So I figure like he'll be there at the front desk, just like after they've kind of got other stuff there, and just talking Norman, being weird. But Norman's weird too, so maybe they like form a weird friendship or something like that. Like he starts telling him about like cutting things, like his specialty, and Norman's like, so I also like to cut things. Finally someone who understands. So like later on, Norman he's talking to his mother, who's like, Norman, what did I tell you about talking to crazy hitchhikers? It's like, Mother, I'll talk to whoever I want. You can't tell me what to do. And it's like, then he comes down as his mother and kills the hitchhiker. Like, Norman's not allowed to have friends, especially those who hitchhike and kill pedestrians. It's like, I think that would be that seems pretty reasonable, don't you think?
I like that voice you're doing.
My amazing Norma Bates voice.
Oh man. So you talked about the way they sewed the hitchhiker back up together. What if he couldn't walk anymore? Which, clearly. So he's also in a wheelchair. So now they're pushing Grandpa and hitchhiker. So you get two wheelchairs.
Oh, I thought maybe they would be sharing the one wheelchair, like he'd be sitting in Grandpa's lap.
They'll have like
There's just pieces of fillet on them.
They'll have a side cart like next to
how
it.
they had Grandpa sign the papers to sign in. Grandpa was actually sitting on the hitchhiker's lap, and the hitchhiker was just like pretending to be Grandpa's hand.
It's like puppeteering
no.
him and all that. Oh man, it's just an epic scene to think about.
Little Weekend at Bernie's action. They play some music and make him
no.
dance around.
They've melded together into the hitchhiking Grandpa.
Or Buffalo Bob, takes what's left of the hitchhiker and he wants to use him as a suit as well.
Oh man. So figure after they kill the hitchhiker, what would happen then? Like clearly Leatherface and his and the rest would not be too happy about that. I mean, Grandpa would still be in his chair not doing anything, but figured they'd want vengeance, and they would think that it was Norma who killed the hitchhiker, so they'd go up into the room and ready to kill her, and it's like, whoop, what do you know? It's a dead body. So then Norman comes out dressed as Norma, and she's pissed, like, you're corrupting my son, trying to get him to kill people, so I'm gonna kill you. And then he gets into a big butcher's knife versus a chainsaw, but which sounds really bad on Norman's part, but for sake of the movie, let's say he puts up a good fight and manages to fight off Leatherface pretty well.
Well,
Leatherface doesn't have balance.
Exactly.
I think that
gotta push him over.
I don't think
Kicks him
Norman,
with his heels.
I don't think Norman would walk in on them looking at his mother. I think they would come in and they would try to find Norma to kill her and find that she's bones, and they'd be like, hey, we could make a pretty rocking chair out of her, and they would take her body and start to build furniture out of her or something, and then Norman would walk in and be like, what are you doing to my body?
And maybe Grandpa sees her and falls in love with her, because it's they're basically the same person at that point. So it's then they're like, oh, we found a new grandma. So then they have a whole thing, and then Norman walks in as Norma, all confused because now his mother's with another man, she was when he killed her. Well, in this timeline, not the Bates Motel, but we're not going to get into that. But yeah, and he's like, what's going on? Who's this person? Norman's, what are you doing to Norman? Or whatever. And so they get into his big thing. He kills, the sheriff, and Grandpa's just sitting there because it's really all he can do. And yeah, basically him and Leatherface get into this big, rumble.
I think maybe he just sticks a foot out and trips Leatherface.
Pretty much.
What if the grandma and grandpa are trying to get married now? They have a ceremony at Bates Motel, and Grandpa keeps dropping the ring.
Come on, Grandpa, you can do it.
Just do it.
Her finger falls off. Come on, Grandpa, you can do it.
So then Norman Bates becomes brother-in-law with Leatherface.
Pretty much.
And then Buffalo Bill's the best man.
Imagine like this whole thing's going on, and then at the end when like they're fighting, you see Buffalo Bill opens his door. It's like, "Do you guys mind? I'm trying to get dressed." And he's close. That's like his only scene in the whole thing.
Or maybe he sees Leatherface in the Leatherface mask, and he comes in, like, hands him a bottle of lotion. You might want to lotion that skin up.
Oh no. And then,
Trust me, this works great.
before it's all said and done, Ed Gein shows up. It's like he's pissed off because everybody stole his thing.
Oh no! See, I got it.
Okay.
Hitchhiker came back because Jeffrey Combs, as Herbert West, was
Herbert
driving
West is coming
by,
back.
saw a fresh corpse, and used some reagent on him as just an experiment. And Leatherface and family just let him go because Hitchhiker was back. He wouldn't be any more fucked up than he already was alive. So Jeffrey Combs, Herbert West is just like, my reagent was a perfect success, like I knew it would be.
Injects
Just
him with
drives off.
Checks him with the reagent. Not fresh enough, and drives off.
Jeffrey Combs finding himself in every movie.
Oh yeah. So
The West Chronicles.
I was trying to think, how would this like play off in the end? Because like they get into their Norman/Norma fights Leatherface, and like how would this conclude?
I seriously think that like if Grandpa and Norma's corpse got married, that then all the food that Norman would start serving would be gotten from Leatherface's slaughterhouse. So it's actually like a very beneficial relationship.
Yeah, but Norman doesn't like his mother dating anyone. So even if it's like basically a corpse as well, I think he'd be like, "No, you can't be with my mother. You're not good enough." And I think that he would end up I think he'd go along at the wedding. Like maybe they have Leatherface decides he's going to talk then, and or he just makes animal noises, and somehow that speaks to Norman's heart, and he's like, you know what, maybe I have been a bad son. Maybe I should accept the fact that my mother is in love with this almost corpse person, and they hug and they have the ceremony. But then at the very end, Norman puts his hand on Leatherface's shoulder and then stabs him with his butcher's knife. I was just kidding. No one's good enough for my mother. So Norman Bates wins the fight against Leatherface. And then he puts their bodies in there and pretends it's one big family instead of just his mother.
Clever, a very, very clever fucking pretending acting by Norman Bates there.
Yep. This whole scheme by him to kill them.
Very convincing, very conniving. Yeah. There we go. That's what I was looking for.
I don't think that could have went any better.
Yeah, it's so basically Leatherface and his family, they decide they're going to look for Sally or go on vacation, whichever one. And they end up at the Bates Motel. Norman murders the hitchhiker. The other ones decide they're going to get revenge. They find Norma. Grandpa falls in love with her. Norman is all pissed off, but Leatherface convinces him to give the romance a try. They have the wedding, and then Norman kills Leatherface and puts all of them in his basement. And now they're there forever as one big, happy, serial-killing family of mostly corpses.
And Buffalo Bill actually checks out of the Bates Motel.
Forget this shit. This is too weird for me.
And there you have the Bates Motel Chainsaw Massacre.
Wedding.
Jag råmar ner. Och sen